Good afternoon. My name is Holly Dinnany, and I am with Family Partners of Morris and Sussex County, and I would like to welcome you to today's Lunch and Learn program. Today is May 6, 2021, and our topic for today is we're giving you the inside scoop. For those of you who have been with us before, welcome back. For those of you who are with us for the first time, I'll just go through some quick housekeeping items. Our Lunch and Learn is a program that is for you, which means if you have questions, please drop them in the chat or come off mute and ask them. We like to pitch this program as you're having lunch with an expert because it's a little bit of an opportunity to have a conversation with someone who is doing important work in our community. And today, our guest is exactly that. Her name is Jessica Mondino. She is the Morris County Youth Services Coordinator. But she also, I'm going to say, Jessica, you wear a lot of different hats because I invited you here today because you are the CIACC representative, which is an acronym that I've heard a million times, which stands for the Children's Interagency Coordinating Counselor Rep, right? So I'm going to turn it over to you because what I want people to know is you've been in the youth services coordinator position for over 9 years. You've been with the county for even longer than that. And I'm going to tell our friends on the call that if there is a question they have about youth services in Morris County, you may not know the answer, but I bet if you don't, because you are a very connected individual who is involved in a lot of different groups that the reason I'm so excited you're here too, Jessica, is because there are a lot of really smart people doing really great work to support youth and families and mental health in our community. And you probably know almost all of them and run a lot of those meetings. So without any further ado, Jessica, I'm gonna turn it over to you, and I'm gonna tell our guests once again that if you have a question, feel free to drop it in the chat. Jessica Mondino she's breaking down her presentation today in the different areas that she's responsible for. So if you have a question about what she's talking about, don't be shy. She's happy to field questions. So Jessica, I'm turning it over to you.
Thanks, Holly. Welcome, everyone. Happy Thursday. I apologize. There's like a glare coming from behind me, so I apologize for that. So like Holly said, I have been in my position now for 9 years. I'm the youth services coordinator for the county. What that means basically, some counties, so my job is 2 parts and then some other stuff too. So it's really like 2 parts and a lot of other stuff. But some counties, have separate youth services coordinators and CIACC coordinators. However, because Morris County is not a huge county, we're combined. So I'm both of those. So CIACC, like Holly said, is the Children's Interagency Coordinating Council. So I'm the coordinator for that, which is my title. And then the YSC is the Youth Services Coordinator, which is my title. That's from the juvenile justice side of the state. So the CIACC is from the Children's System of Care. YSAC or YSC is from juvenile justice. So, it makes sense kind of just to combine them, especially for our county, because we touch all of the same agencies. So that's just a little bit about me and my position. I'm going to talk about our YSAC, which is also our CIACC. You'll hear it called CIACC in some other counties. I know in Sussex, it's called SCIAC. It's all, it's all the same meeting. We just call it different things. So I'm just going to start sharing my screen, which I probably should have made sure this worked before we started, but hopefully it should be good.
I'm sure we're good. And I'm going to ask you too, Jessica, does the CIACC is that something that comes through the state? Like, is that a state mandated organization or council? Okay.
Right. So the CIACC is a branch of CIACC, which is the Children's System of Care. So each county has a CIACC council, I guess. We call ours the Youth Services Advisory Council.
Okay.
So each county has one, and I'll get into that in a minute about what it is. But like I said, some counties have a YSC, which is their Youth Services Council, and also a CIACC. A lot of counties like Sussex is also combined. I think Warren is combined as well. But then some of the bigger counties like Essex, they have it separated. So I'll just jump right into it. You can see my screen, right?
Great. Yes. Perfect.
Okay. So just get over here. Okay. So the Youth Services Advisory Council, which we call YSAC, is, so I don't want to read off of my PowerPoint. I hate when people just read. So I'm just going to kind of go off of it. But basically the YSAC is a place that all of the youth serving agencies from the county can come together and discuss the system struggles, any issues, any successes, anything that really is coming through the youth area, we discuss at YSAC because everybody's there. We have, I'm not sure if everybody here knows all of the agencies, but I know you will be getting to know them in your next couple of your lunch and learns. So, we have FSO, we have CMO, DCPMP.
I'm going to ask you, Jessica, I'm going to ask you to say what the long names is, because I know I've been in this field for 2 years, but I'll tell you, there's a lot of acronyms. So
there is a lot of acronyms.
That's right. So start again, because that's what I want today. And forgive me if it's being too basic for anyone, but I have to say, I think it's really, really important to understand, first of all of these organizations or agencies that Jessica's recognizing, they all have different functions, but when she says they come together to compare notes, like they really, really have different vantage points from what's going on. So it's important for us to understand all the different focuses that come to the table to look at the bigger picture. So start again. Who are some of the different agencies you were saying?
So we have FSO, of course,
which is family support organizations, and there are 15 in the state, right? Covered by one.
Right. And then there's CMO, which is the care management organization, which again is every county has one. Some are shared. We share a lot of our services with Sussex. A lot of stuff that Morris has, Sussex has. So we share our CMO, care management organization, with Sussex. There's also DCPMP, which was formerly DIFUS, the Division of Child Protection and Permanency. Again, every county is covered, and we share ours with Sussex. FIS is Family Intervention Services. They have a ton of programs through them, and they are also, a branch of the state. Some parts of them are branch of the state, which I think they're coming, right? Because they have a lot.
Right. Yes.
So I could do a whole nother presentation on them, and I don't even know everything about them.
But it's important to know, though, it's okay that we don't know exactly how, because there's a lot of overlap, not necessarily duplication of effort, but it's if you don't know, you need to ask, right, Jessica? Like if you're looking for something and you can't find it, lob out a question, right? Because Family Intervention Services is also a really well-connected agency.
Absolutely. Yeah. If anybody ever has a question or anything, a lot of times they'll call me and I'm like, I'm not really sure, but I know Family Intervention Services can help you. So I will send them to call them because they're the experts on themselves, obviously.
Right.
So that's some of our members. We also have on the juvenile justice side, we have probation, family intake, the prosecutor's office. We have the juvenile prosecutor, the juvenile public defender. They're all part of the YSAC. We even have the juvenile judge. He's a very, very busy person, so he can't always attend our meetings, but he is a member and he attends as often as he can. Trying to think. We have the shelter, the detention center. They're all a part of those meetings. Again, our shelter and detention center is also shared with Sussex. We have a bunch of counties actually that we share with: Sussex, Warren, Somerset, I believe, Hunterdon, Hudson. It's a lot. So our detention center is one of a regional one, I guess you would call it. So those are, the membership. We have a lot of county personnel. Also, we have somebody from the superintendent's office. We have the mental health administrator, the addiction services administrator, workforce investment. I think there's more.
The big crowd, but the other thing too, Jessica, is anybody could come should they like, right? I mean, you publish the schedules. Anybody from the public is welcome to come, which I think too, if somebody has something they're concerned about or something that they don't understand how it works, especially now in the virtual age, it's even easier to attend. It's very educational, I think, to see all the different entities come together.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're open public meetings. So that means anybody can attend. The login information right now is on our county website, which is morriscounty.gov. And you just go under, I'm actually under community and behavioral health services. So youth services is a little bit hidden in there, but I am underneath with behavioral health. I'll show my website. I'll show the website at the end so you can see where to get all the information. But they're open public meetings. Anybody that works with youth, has concerns about youth, anybody is welcome to come. In the past, we did have more family and youth participation, and we really like to get more participation. So if anybody, works with families or is a family and would like to attend those meetings, you're absolutely welcome to, because we have the agency view, but we really would like to see and hear from the families and the youth also that we're serving, because you're the ones we're here to serve. So if you want any more information about that, just let me know and I can email you the schedule. We meet every third Thursday at 2:30, currently virtual, so it's easier to attend. And we don't meet in the summer. And so yeah, we definitely would, it's always open to anybody that would like to attend.
If I can add in too, Jessica, I am so impressed with how collaborative those meetings are. Like there's a lot of information, people give reports, right? There's expected reports on what they're seeing, but there really seems to be such a great spirit of collaboration. If somebody has a concern, there's a lot of idea sharing, which I think is a really important part of really what you're trying to do, right? Is keep those conversations going.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a great place to even just come and learn, more about all of the different agencies, because like you said, we have our set reporting and numbers that we have to do and everything. But even within those report areas, we have people ask questions or bring up other things. So there's always a good conversation about what's going on in each area. And then of course we have an open discussion area. But there's always something to learn in those meetings. I mean, even I learned stuff, from different areas in those meetings. So, and then one last thing about CIACC, we have 6 different subcommittees. We have planning, education partnership, juvenile fire setter prevention program, monitoring, developmental disabilities, and substance use. So those are our subcommittees. Education partnership and the fire setter one, I actually have more slides on, so I'm not going to talk about those right now. Planning is I'll just briefly go over what they are. Planning is we get funding from the Juvenile Justice Commission and from the county to be RFP'd out to different agencies. So our planning committee basically puts together the needs, the priorities, we're seeing that the youth and the families need. So we put that together, and then for juvenile justice, there's a lot more work that needs to be done than county. The county gives us the money because it's county. Juvenile justice, we get it from the state, so we have to do a plan and application and that kind of stuff. It's a lot of work, but our planning committee does that. The monitoring committee, that's just a committee that comes together in the summer to monitor the programs that we do fund through that funding. And I have another slide to talk about those programs also. Developmental disabilities is a subcommittee that we were asked to put together through the Children's System of Care, asked each CIACC to put together this subcommittee. And this one I've been struggling a little bit with getting off the ground. I get a lot of participation from the same agencies within our, mental health and behavioral health area, but it's hard because for some reason we're in silos. There's not a lot of crossover. So this committee is really trying to bridge that gap of our silos of the, youth serving agencies and the developmental disabilities agencies. So with that one, we just kind of started getting off the ground. So that one I think is going to be really interesting to see what kind of partnerships we can bring out of that. And
that's like if there's someone on this call, right, Jessica, if there's somebody that works with developmental disability population, that would be a good opportunity, right, to kind of figure out.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
identify needs.
Yeah. Like I said, we just started the program, the subcommittee. So we're right now just gathering members. So if there's anybody on the call that is interested, please let me know. Send me an email, put it in the chat, anything. I think somebody is raising their hand. I can actually see, I see like 4 people and I see you raising your hand, Kristen.
Hi. I work for the Sussex County local office for DCP&P, and I've been working for the division for, I think 16 years in end of May. So I'm constantly like, I actually have time now with a lower caseload to come to meetings like this. And you always learn something new because things are evolving all the time. And more recently on my caseload, I had a child that had severe disabilities, and I learned a lot just from her mom. Her mom was extremely a great advocate for her own child. And she had cerebral palsy and like some very large disabilities. But then I have another case that has people with extremely low IQs. We've done evaluations on them, and one of my clients has become her own best self advocate, and because of DDD and the services that she receives from them. I struggle with DDD only because we don't have the best communication with them and understanding of how they work. And I feel like the division has to do a little bit better job with a little bit more training in that area, because a lot of times we have a lot of clients that whether they have trauma or not, but the majority of ours do, compounded with learning deficits or actual really real DDD type qualified clients. And we have more, if we had more communication, better communication and better understanding of what they do, we can put in more they can help with the safety net that goes around our kids of these young these clients. And that's what I'm seeing with one of my families, is like her safety net through DDD is like key in teaching her how to care for her kid. And it's creating a great, it's awesome. But I also feel like there's at these meetings and stuff, especially Sussex County, there's just still such a lack of services. It's bad. Just to serve that population that has the trauma history or the low IQ, because the parenting classes and certain, they just don't meet those people's needs. They don't, those programs are not meeting those people's needs, because they need to have repetition. They need to have more small group atmosphere. Virtual learning does not work for most of them. I mean, just like our own kids at home, it's a struggle. So, this pandemic has definitely been a big challenge to all of us, and especially our DDD type clients, because it's hard for them to learn, and as it is. So to put expectations on them is it's hard.
Kristen, thank you for sharing that. Jessica, isn't that exactly the kind of conversation you want to have in a committee, as far as?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's exactly what you said is it's hard. I don't know a lot. I myself don't know a lot about the developmental disabilities systems and their programs. So for me, I'm really just trying to, bridge that gap of not knowing the services, because if I don't know them, I'm sure that a lot of our agencies don't know them very well either, which is exactly what you're saying. So that's why we want to get everybody to the meeting, and we are talking about having we had a couple of developmental, sorry, I talk with my hands. I could see them on camera.
All good. All good.
We're talking about having some of our developmental disabilities agencies come and speak at our CIACC, so that all of our agencies that are there can at least, put a face to a name and a name of a program or an agency that if they come across a case that they need help with, they can say, oh, I know this person from Dawn, let me reach out to them.
Yeah.
So, that's really what we try and do with CIACC, is just to network as much as we can, because I want people to, all cases are different. All kids are different. All families are different. And, you might come across something for one kid and you're like, oh my God, I just heard about this in a meeting. Let me call this person. Let me even just reach out to me and I'll connect you to that person, that presented at the meeting. So that's really, my job is a lot of things, but that's really, like, if you simplify it really down, that's really what my job is. And what I try to do is just connect everybody to the needs that they have.
And Kristen, none of it's like in a silo, right? Like Jessica was saying, everyone's in a silo, but there's such overlap, right? Like you were saying, the role of trauma.
Oh,
Those
definitely.
individuals.
Definitely.
It's not, so I mean, all the more reason that, if you have the time to check out one of these committee meetings, I think your perspective has great value, because you are seeing what the parents are, what's working and what's not. And as you said, you might have a parent who's really a strong advocate, but not all parents are, just because of circumstance and skill, right?
Yeah, that particular mom. Yeah, that particular mom is a very smart, savvy woman, and she was just getting her feet back under her and getting into a new home. And I kind of helped bridge that and connect her to different, Daisy and different services of that nature. And once she was back up on her feet, she was one of those lucky people that had like the support system and everything, and was a great advocate for her own child. So, I didn't have to do much there, but what I loved is she taught me so much about her particular kids' needs. And then also I educated her about how her trauma that was in the other home was affecting her. And so we work together well. And it's, she was a good case of a woman that probably would do great at one of these meetings, because she would be able to voice herself pretty articulately, and then also say, this is what we need in our county here, or we need this, or she would be a great advocate for kids, because they, she would think of everything.
But Kristen, you raise a great point, though, because that's the benefit of having the public in, is not only to help them be educated, but help them contribute. So, and providers on this call, think about that too. If you're working with a family who may be in that situation, that they have something to offer, we want you to know about these meetings and these opportunities, because Jessica has a big job, but it's helpful if others know what it is she's trying to accomplish. So Kristen, thank you for your sharing on that.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you very much. And please, my email is at the end. So if you want to email me, I can put you on the distribution list for those meetings.
Okay, great.
And then our last one, the substance use, is also kind of similar, trying to bridge the gaps between our CIACC, and we have each county has a coalition. Ours is I never remember, it's CCSHM. It's the Community Coalition for a Safe and Healthy Morris. I believe that's what it is. That's, yeah, so that's run by Prevention is Key. And that's just kind of, our substance use committee is kind of bridging the gap of those two services. Myself and somebody from Prevention is Key kind of run the meeting. And we also focus on, currently there's a grant that they have that is also something through CIACC, Children's System of Care. So we focus a lot on that, but it's also bridging the gaps between substance use programs and the youth agencies. All right, so I'm going to move on if there's not any more questions on CIACC. So I'm just going to go over this one real quick. This is our Juvenile Detention Alternative Initiative, JDAI. It's relatively new to Morris. It's not new at all in the state. JDAI has been an initiative that's been coming across New Jersey since like 1992 or something. So it's not new for New Jersey, but in Morris, we're just in the beginning years of it. Basically, I'm not going to read through all of this, but the objective is to safely reduce the reliance on juvenile detention through these 8 core strategies. Basic overview of it is the main goal is to make the juvenile justice system work more efficiently, and to make sure that youth that don't need to be in detention aren't in detention. And it's also to reduce the length of stay for youth that do need to go to detention. So, and then we have subcommittees that that work towards that. So the case processing, detention alternatives, police diversion, innovations, and probation. So the case processing, that kind of is on the court side. I'm not 100% involved in that one. That's just to, you know, make sure that the cases are processing through the court system, you know, at the right speed, that they're not lagging anywhere. Detention alternatives, that's where we talk about, you know, what's a good alternative to detention. You know, not everybody needs to go to detention. Most kids don't need to go to detention. So through that program, through that subcommittee, we put in a electronic monitoring per se. It's not an ankle bracelet program. It's a app program. So they have an app on their phone, and they have to check in a certain amount of times through the day. The detention center monitors it. And it's, you know, it's a lot less restrictive than an ankle bracelet program, because they can go to school. They're not wearing an ankle monitor. They just have this app on their phone, and everybody has a phone. So nobody is going to know that, you know, what they have. It's actually a really cool app. It's a facial recognition. So when you set it up, you take a picture of your face from like all these different angles. And then when you check in, you have to take a picture of your face, and it like drops a pin on your location. And then you check in that way. So if, you know, you're told if your check-in time is at 2:00 and you check in and you're not in the location you're supposed to be, then you'll get a call from the coordinator. You know, and if you don't check in, you'll also get a call from the coordinator. So it's actually a really interesting app. I think that we were kind of actually innovative with it. So that's something that we funded through our JDAI funding, which we do get yearly. We started funding that program with the JDAI, and now it's become just part of the county. It's part of our county funding now, which is a good thing, because that means that it's sustainable, that now that it's part of the county. You know, it's not funding we have to apply for every year. It's something that now is just part of our county. That's what our innovation subcommittee is. That committee meets to, you know, figure out what we're going to try to fund with our JDAI funding for each year. A lot of what I do is funding, which is kind of boring from my end, but it's really good for the agencies, because, you know, who doesn't want more funding? Our police diversion program subcommittee is probably one of my, I don't want to say favorite, but it's something that I was working on before JDAI even became something in our county. You know, a lot of what I do is working with youth who are, you know, they're at risk. We're trying to prevent them from getting involved in the court systems. So I was trying to, you know, make these like relationships with the police departments in our county, so that they knew about, which I will actually talk about in the next couple slides, knew about these programs that we have that they could refer kids to. Because, you know, I know police officers are out there, they have a lot going on. They don't want to charge kids. They're not like looking for kids and they're like, oh, let's send the kid to detention. You know, they want to know what to be able to do with these kids if they find them doing something they shouldn't be doing. So I started going out to police departments and presenting and just telling them about our programs and just making the relationships, so they knew that they could call me if they just didn't know what to do with a kid. I was like, if you have a juvenile, you bring somebody in and you have no idea, just call me and I will direct you to where you need to go. So when we started JDAI and we put in this police diversion, it was pretty much like I had other people coming in to help me with this, you know, initiative that I was trying to do on my own anyway. So through that, it's been really great. We've gotten a lot of police department, we've gotten chiefs coming in to join this meeting with us, which is great, because you know that's, you know, we have to get the chiefs on board to get anything down to everybody else. So that's been a really great partnership. And then our last one is the probation subcommittee, which actually we just started. So that's run by the assistant chief of probation. And right now that's kind of just, it's kind of the same as case processing, kind of looking through probation and seeing if there's anything that needs to be fixed. You know, it's just like a kind of like a maintenance subcommittee, if you will, you know, just making sure that probation is running as well as it should, if there's any ideas or anything that needs to be changed. So that's JDAI.
I have a question for you, Jessica, if I could.
Yeah.
A question from a parent. is there anything for kids that are not in the court system, but do elope out of the house? I guess if they're on probation and they're not honoring that. I think if I asked the question correctly, I hope I'm reading from a note.
I mean, we have a bunch of programs, which I'll talk about in my next two slides. We don't have anything for, I mean, if they're talking similar to the app, you have to be placed on that through the court system. But I mean, there are a lot of programs for youth that are at risk that aren't on probation, but, might be on their way there. And I will talk about those in our next slides.
Okay. And if they don't get the answer, they can follow up with you, correct, Jessica?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'll have more time for questions at the end too. So
Just a quick question. Are the justices and the, what's the word for it? The judges and whatnot, the higher tiered people, are they being educated also on, the layers of these kids, how the trauma affects their behavior, why they aren't responding to just regular discipline and response, because it's sometimes these parents are putting in the structure, are putting in whatever, but there's always a missing something for, and sometimes we jump into the game and we're like, oh, well, has this assessment been done? Has this assessment been done? Oh, they have, but the behavioral therapy hasn't been put in, and I know every case is different, but one thing that I've always struggled with is, the division, and many of us are required to do all these wonderful hours of training. And a lot of our higher ups, I'm talking the judges, the other team, like what I always find frustrating is that they're not seeing the whole picture as we do. And and I know they used to require it, but I don't know if it's happening anymore in the last few years, because I'm definitely seeing it even with our judges up in Sussex County.
So I can't speak to what, kinds of trainings that they are getting right now. I'm not sure, but I can say for JDAI, which is actually something really cool about JDAI, is that our chairs the chairs are required to be the high up people, the judge. So our juvenile judge and our human services director are the chairs of this committee.
Okay.
Because basically they said, we want the people who are making the decisions to be running these groups, because it's great and all that I can run all these groups and have all of these form all these networks and relationships, but I'm not a higher up in the county. I'm not making the countywide decisions, so that they said that they wanted the people that are decision makers for the county to be part of this committee. So I think that that's really helpful, because the judge is at all of our meetings. Our human services director is at all of our meetings.
Well, Jessica, too, if I can jump in, we did have two presentations earlier in the year, I think, from JDAI, and I was really, really struck by how much they look at data as to what used to be done and what the results were versus what we're trying to do now, as far as what consequences are most helpful to the youth moving on in a positive direction, right? Like, I think it's really interesting, the science and the brains behind looking at what happens with youth who begin to go down a path they shouldn't go, and how we direct them to a better path, right, Jessica? Like, I mean, that's JDAI in a nutshell, right? Is they're trying to not do what we've always done, just because that might not be the best thing. And as you were alluding to, Kristen, we're all learning every day how trauma, for instance, right? How that lens changes how that youth might be responding to something that we may not understand. So anybody who wants more information on that, again, we can follow up with Jessica, but I think there's a lot of really great things happening, and the numbers support it. They have data to show that.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out, Holly, because that is pretty much, I mean, they have the 8 core strategies, but number one thing is the data. They're looking at the data, and that's what's leading us to, fund programs and to change things and implement different things. It's all data driven. So that is really important because we're actually looking at the kids that we're serving in this county and seeing what their needs are instead of what was always done. So that is a very good point about JDAI. All right, so I'm going to move on to, so these are some programs that are funded through youth services. So like I said earlier, we have the juvenile justice funding, we have the county funding, and then we have the JDAI funding. So these are just some programs that that we fund through those funding streams, and I just wanted to point them out, just so that everybody knew. You know, I mean, there's so many other great programs in the county that we're not funding, and I wish I could highlight every single one of them. But these are just, you know, what we do fund. So I wanted to talk about them just real quick. We have the Comprehensive Adolescent Program, which is through the Center for Evaluation and Counseling. That program is for any youth up to age 18 who, you know, they have weekly psychoeducational classes on just like hot topics, you know, anger management, cyberbullying, social skills. Just, you know, they've been doing it virtually, so I know they've definitely been focusing on, you know, virtual schooling and everything that comes with COVID. There's also the Choices program through JBWS, and that program is for males who are, all of our programs are for under 18 or under 21. So that's for boys who have started using bullying or intimidation in their relationships, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, parents, siblings. So that program is kind of just an early intervention program for anybody who has started using those, you know, bullying and intimidation within their relationships. We have the Buddies program through Homeless Solutions, which is actually a program for the youth that are in any of the homeless solution housing. They have a ton of different housing facilities. So that program is a mentorship program for all of their youth. We also have the Her Words program, which is through Morris Arts, and that is run at the Morristown High School, and it's for girls in the high school, and it's they meet throughout the year and through the summer, and it's basically it's a writing and poetry kind of program, but they, you know, they do creative writing, and then they put all of their creative writing together into a play, and at the end of the year they put on a play, which is usually we get to go, but this year COVID, we didn't get to go to it. But when we do our monitoring, we get to go see their play, which is always, you know, just a really good, it's just really good to see because you're seeing the program happening, and it's all stuff that the girls write from their own experiences. It's like basically like they're writing in their diaries, and then they're taking it and turning it into stories and acting it out that, you know, help other people. So that's a really great one. I've always enjoyed going to see that program. We also have Rites of Passage and Social Recreation, which are both through Neighborhood House. The Rites of Passage is that's a curriculum. It's like 8 to 10 weeks, I believe. And it's basically just, it's similar, I'd say, to the Comprehensive Adolescent Program. They focus on, you know, hot topics for teens, anger management, bullying, all of that kind of stuff. And it's just kind of, I think it's just kind of a program. I mean, I feel like Rites of Passage is a really good name for it because it's just kind of like helping kids go from being a kid to being a teen. It's just kind of like guiding them through that. The Social Recreation Program is, that's exactly what it sounds like. It's, you know, kids can come to Neighborhood House and play basketball or soccer or whatever on Friday nights. It's like open gym, open field, you know, whatever they want to do. It's just someplace that the kids can go and have a place to go and not just be hanging out on the streets or whatever they were planning on doing. Then we also have the Summer Youth Employment Program through Newbridge. That is a program that helps teens throughout the summer. They kind of show them how to apply for a job, how to interview for a job, what it means to have a job and be responsible and go there and get there on time. They also do volunteer opportunities with the kids. So they take them to different places. I know they work with a farm, so they take the kids to a farm and they teach them how to do everything. They have horses there. They work with the horses. They clean them. They do like all of that stuff. I know that they line up different volunteer opportunities every summer, so they always have different stuff. But it's just kind of opening the kids up to things they've never done before or they never knew about, and also helping them, learn how to become employable. We have the caregiver support and outreach education program through Deirdre's House. That program is a lot of different things. Actually, it was a couple different programs and we eventually combined it all into one. So it really is just, a support. They have support groups for caregivers, parents of youth that are going to Deirdre's House. They have an outreach education program where they go into schools and educate about, I've said it a million times already, but about cyberbullying, which we know is a huge, huge issue right now. They also, there's so many different pieces to that program. They help with transportation for families to appointments if they need transportation. They help with caregivers if they need like psychiatric evaluations or medication or, appointments. They help with that. So that's just like a really, a really big program that covers a lot of different areas. Then we also have Family Outreach Program and Mending Arts, which are both through Family Intervention Services. The Family Outreach Program is a worker that goes out to different families. She will go to them and basically just help them with what they need, their needs. During COVID, she was helping them get food because nobody was going anywhere. So she was helping them with, the online ordering of the ShopRite, because that was a huge hassle. We all know. She helps them with, if they need to go to the Office of Temporary Assistance or if they need to get any of that kind of stuff. She's really just there to help them through anything that they, need help with. Mending Arts is a therapeutic, artistic program. They do different series. So they'll have, I don't know why I just keep thinking of cyberbullying, but they did have one focusing on cyberbullying, and it was like a 6-week course, and they had the same, 10 families that came, and they do storytelling and they do art with it. And they'll, some of them at the end, they'll talk for 6 weeks about this topic. And then at the end, they'll make like one big project, or they'll work on the project for each week. Then we have the Jobs Plus program through Newbridge. That's similar to Summer Youth, except that runs all year round. It helps kids with the interviewing, getting jobs, filling out the application, interviewing, getting to the jobs. It also helps with, just lost it. It also helps, they do help, if kids aren't old enough to work, they help set them up with volunteer positions. And then the last one is the Family Crisis Intervention Unit, which is something that every county has. And that's through Family Intervention Services also. So I think if FIS does come, you'll get a lot more in depth about the FCIU, but it's really just someplace that you can call, the parents can call, police officers can call if they're, at a scene where there's a family in crisis and they need someone to come out right away not right away. Mobile response comes out right away. This is why I'm not going to talk about Family Intervention Service, because they have a lot. But, family crisis will come out within, a day to sit with the family and kind of put together a crisis plan. They work with the kids for, I think, the families for 6 to 8 weeks. And then, they're kind of there for the crisis. They work with them for 6 to 8 weeks and get them stabilized. And then they can move them to another one of their programs, such as the Family Outreach Program, if needed. So, and then I didn't put it on here, but like I said, through JDAI, we did fund the SmartLink app, which was the, what's it called? The electronic monitoring app. So that's what we funded through JDAI for last year. For this year, we're still working on what will be funded through that.
Just
so I know
all
that
these
was a lot.
all of these wonderful programs, though, if someone's on your email list, I know you send out updates, right? Or flyers about programs, right?
Yes,
so If that is something, if you have an interest in hearing like updates and maybe new dates, like I know with Mending Arts, they do it like in cycles. That's another good reason to get added to Jessica's list, because there's always something happening, right? Always something new.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And even not even just these programs, you know, anything that anybody's having, they send to me, and I just send it out to my CIACC distribution list. So if you're interested in hearing about all the things that are going on in the county, please just email me and I will add you to the list.
Great.
Okay, so we have what I'm calling diversionary education programs, but they are not, I want to stress that they are not just to be used as diversionary programs. Anybody can refer to all three of these programs. You know, this is where I was reaching out to the police departments, because I wanted them, especially with cyberbullying and sexting, I wanted them to know that we have this program, because they didn't know what to do with the kids that, you know, they were catching with this. And the same with schools. You know, schools can refer, police departments can refer, any agency can refer, parents can can refer their kids. So I just want to stress that it's not just diversionary, anybody can refer to these programs. So quickly, the cyberbullying and sexting education program is a program that is held 4 times per year, and Family Intervention Services runs it. It's an educational course for the youth and the parents on what is cyberbullying and sexting, you know, what are the legal consequences, what are the social consequences, how to safely use the internet. So this program, really, I think that every single teen could benefit from this program. You know, a lot of times we get teens that have already been engaging in cyberbullying or have sent, you know, a inappropriate text message. But honestly, I really think that any teens really could benefit from it. So it doesn't have to just be the kids that were caught by the school or, you know, by the police department. If you think as a parent that your kid is, you know, maybe not so educated on how they should be using social media, this is absolutely a great program for them. And again, at the end, I will show you our website, and all of these programs are on there. So the next program is the program to prevent bias and hate incidents. This is also run by Family Intervention Services, and it's actually a new program that we haven't run yet, but it's been in development for a couple, I'd say for like a year or two. This was actually something that the juvenile prosecutor came to me and said, because she's apparently also the bias incident prosecutor. She covers everything that is a bias incident. And she told me that she was seeing so many youth engaging in these, you know, bias and what could be called hate incidents. And she just didn't think it was something that needed to be charged, but she just felt like there needed to be an education on it. So, you know, I reached out to Family Intervention Services and I was like, is there any kind of program that you could put together for us? Because it's a really big need. So they put this program together for us. It's a 4-week program. So it's, you know, it's a little more intensive than the cyberbullying, which is only a 2-week program. But all of our programs are for the youth and their parents, because we think it's important that the parents are seeing what the youth are learning. So, you know, we're going to run our first class in June. So I'm excited to see how that goes, but I think it's a really important class for us to have. And I'm glad that we were able to implement it. And the last one is a juvenile fire setter prevention program, which is really just a fire safety program, which I know kids always get those in school, but sometimes they need a reminder. A lot of the kids that we get referred to this program were just playing with fire because, you know, they found some matches, or were playing with some fireworks, or they lit a bonfire. You know, it's not anything malicious. They just need to be, you know, a little more educated on fire safety. So that class is actually taught by volunteer firemen that I work with. We do a group class, or we do an individual class depending on, you know, the incident of the fire setting or fire play. And that's just, you know, that's not clinical or anything like that. That's, you know, our volunteer firemen are educating them on the safety and, you know, the dangers of fire play. So those are the three programs that are, we have so many programs in the county. These are definitely not the only three, but these are the three that come through me that I facilitate. And, so I wanted to just talk about those really quickly. Does anybody have any questions on those? Kristen?
I just have a quick question. Is there somebody who's like staying on top of like the evolving world of the internet and what's the latest and the greatest with the kids? Because like it's always so crazy how fast all of this moves with that world, the cyberbullying and the ways people access each other. And like, I learned all about the blue whale sites and suicides this past summer with a client of mine, sadly. So, like is there someone, is there another committee or someone else that's like kind of staying on top of, what some of these youths are getting into?
Well, so
like tracking it according to like what if say they get caught doing something or they get,
yeah,
it comes to, a head somehow. They, has an effect in their life that it's brought to the attention of the adults.
right. Well, so with the program, Family Intervention Services runs it, and they're always, staying on top of the latest trends and making sure that, they're not talking about like Snapchat when nobody uses Snapchat anymore. So they're definitely staying on top of that for their education purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And they also are part of that program is somebody talking about the legal, consequences,
Right. Consequences, yeah,
of misuse of social media. So, I mean, they're definitely staying on top of that. As for somebody, tracking, I don't know if we're really tracking it, but I can definitely say that FIS is staying on top of, the current trends and what kids are using and all of that kind of stuff. Because, when we get the referrals, there's pretty much like a detailed description of what the incident was. So, at least that's where I learn about new things all the time. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. What's that?
I know.
So yeah, so that's definitely, I mean, that's
I can't keep up.
No, that's definitely something, for all of us to try to keep up with. It's tough. I mean, unless you have a teenager or are a teenager, I don't think any of us really know everything they're doing on social media, which is terrifying. But yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so I know we only have a couple more minutes, right? So I want to just.
Yep, you're doing well. You've got about 7 more minutes.
All right, so education partnership, that is that's another one of our subcommittees. So that's a partnership between the youth serving agencies and the educational system. We put together 4 trainings per school year on various different topics, which I have, oh, no, not what I wanted to do. So I have all of the topics here that we have covered since 2008 when we started the education partnership. So it's really just, I'll look at some that we've done more recently. Anxiety in children, stigma-free schools, youth mental health first aid, vaping, supporting LGBTQ+, school during a pandemic, what's working. We just did that one yesterday. So, it's just, we have a planning committee. We put together these trainings for the schools, and we also work with the schools to put the trainings together. So it's not just us preaching to the schools, this is what you should do. Yesterday's was the schools telling the other schools, hey, this is what's working for us during the pandemic. So it's really, it's called a partnership. It's really a partnership between the agencies and educational partners. Let's start the thing back again.
The other thing that's helpful too, Jessica, is I think you've got representation from, there's an organization of all the guidance counselors in Morris County. And I know they participate in these committees, and that's a great, when Jessica's talking about all these programs, Fred Douglas is a gentleman's name, but he makes sure that when she shares something that he shares it with guidance counselors countywide, just so that, again, if there's a youth that might benefit or a teacher that might recommend a student for some of these programs, right, Jessica? Like that's a nice connection too, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, he's on my YSAC list, so I send him everything. So, and he's able to blast that out to all of the school counselors. So that's, another way that we stay connected and make sure that people know about what we're doing. Um, so that's the education partnership. And real quickly, stigma free. So we started the stigma free initiative in 2016, I believe. I actually was not the head of it then. I was pregnant and not even like doing anything at work besides trying to figure out what I was going to do. But once I came back from maternity leave, I got involved in Stigma Free. And now since Lori Becker she was the facilitator of it, she has retired. I have taken it over now. So, it's really just it's an initiative that, aims to eradicate stigma associated with mental illness and substance use. We branched out from there. We're really just trying to, eliminate, if that's even possible, but just bring awareness to the things that cause, that are stigmatized. So I have our website here. Let's see if this actually opens. Yep. No. Oh, okay, it's working. So this is the Stigma Free website. You just go through, it tells you about stigma. We added a COVID-19 tab, in the beginning of COVID, because I know that, so many people were feeling lonely and just like hopeless during especially the beginning, at least, of COVID and quarantine. So we wanted to add something that had a lot of resources and just to like, direct people to the services. We have a stigma-free toolkit, which is we have different ones for school, colleges, towns, and how to become stigma-free and to become a stigma-free partner. And then we have resources, all different, stigma-free resources, and any kind of upcoming event that is stigma-free related, which there are a ton of them, is always listed right here on the website. So sorry to rush through those last few things, but I wanted to make sure we get everything in. So here's my contact information. Please, write it down, email me. Email is probably the best right now because my phone, I'm getting phone calls, but they're like going to my computer and it doesn't always ring. So I only get it if you leave a message. So email is probably the best way to get me right now. If you want me to call you back, I can call you. But it's easier to just, to email to get me. So does anybody have any questions about anything I talked about, especially the things I rushed through at the end there?
Jessica, are you okay sharing your slides with us so that I can forward out the information to folks as far as just, I think the websites and the list of programs would be helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. I could forward you that. And I have a couple, which I was going to show, but I didn't even show them. I have a couple of the flyers and stuff for the cyberbullying and the bias program. So I can send you those so you can share those also.
That's great. And as we typically do, we'll be sharing this recording of this presentation. So one thing I'm going to suggest is that if you have a coworker that you think might benefit from, or a family that you're working with that might benefit from hearing about some of these options for getting involved or programs for the youth, we hope that you pass it along. That's the point of sharing this information. I'm looking in the chat and I'm seeing, are there any questions from our crowd? Jessica, that's a lot. You said your job title has a couple different things combined. That's a lot for one person to do.
I wear like 30 different hats.
You do, but I would imagine, and some of the topics that you're dealing with aren't easy, but I would imagine that overall it is an inspiring or hopeful position because you come across a lot of different people who are really experts in very different things, but when they come together to compare notes, I think it's very, very focused on what is best for the youth, right? Like how can we help them move in a positive direction, even with the juvenile justice system, right? We're not looking to penalize as much as we're looking to help, turn around and inspire to move forward. Sharon, I saw your camera came on. Do you have a question you want to ask? Oh, no, she's just letting us see. I was like, hi. That's great. Well, Jessica, I can't thank you enough for making time for us today, and also just for all that you do, because I know there's a lot of different personalities and a lot of different things that come together, but it's very inspiring. If you have not already attended one of these meetings, I would encourage you to check them out because it's really very interesting to hear what people are seeing, what they're struggling with, but also what successes they're having. This has been, a remarkable year, right? It's been more challenging than anything we've ever seen before. But I would venture to say, as Jessica and I were talking before the meeting started, attendance now at some of these committee meetings is quite impressive, right, Jessica? Because people don't have to travel by car. And I know Jessica is involved in things at the state level too, so it probably works for you as well, right? That you're able to yourself directly participate in some of these really, really important efforts that are out there. So we will be getting you folks this information. I'm going to encourage the friends on the call, making sure I'm not missing any questions here. We have a lot going on this month. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And this is the first of a 4-part special Lunch and Learn series that we're doing about resources that are available in your community to help youth. So next week, we're going to be talking with Mobile Response, who's going to come in and talk to us about the services they provide 24/7, just by a call away. The following week, we're going to be talking about caring partners, what exactly it means to have assistance for care managers to come into the home and work with the youth. Who are the experts they bring to the table? What is the process? How does it work? And then the last Thursday, the 27th, we're going to answer a question as what exactly does a family support partner do? And my good friend Diane Varga, who's on the call, is going to be talking to us about, in all seriousness, what it means to have a family support partner work with a family through the family support organization. I think you will be surprised and pleased to hear that, there's a lot of training involved. There's a lot of process and planning and strategizing to help empower the families to have the resources available that helps their youth move forward. So 2 other things happening this month that I'm going to ask my friend Krista to come off mute and talk to us a little about the MOMI Chalk Fest on May 15th. What is that, Krista?
So our youth partnership is collaborating with MOMI, the Museum of Imagination and Innovation. Saturday, May 15th, we're going to do a chalk festival in Morristown from 12 to 4. We'll have a flyer going out later today or tomorrow. We'll email everyone, should be on our email list, but I'm also putting my email in the chat now. And it's going to just be a fun day of socially distanced chalk art creating. It's International Family Day, so we're drawing families together with MOMI.
And then we'll look for that information too, because the cool thing is, even if you can't attend on the 15th, you can do chalk art in your own driveway and share it on social media with a hashtag that just helps promote awareness of this organization. That some gals have a great idea of, they'd like to find a site for a special children's museum in Morris County. And this is just one of the ways that they're trying to get word out about what they want to do. But it's a really, really wonderful idea and exciting thing that we're going to be participating in. And also on the 24th of May, which is a Monday evening, there'll be a conversation. Family Partners is partnering with Atlantic Health and New Jersey Hope and Healing to bring together folks to have a conversation about what we can do to help our youth face the new tomorrow with as much positivity and support as they can. We're looking forward to being back in person in school in the fall, and we want to bring healthcare professionals to the table along with school officials to talk about what they're seeing, what they expect to see, and also to invite parents and youth to the conversation to say, what is it you need? And to make sure that if there's gaps in what they need, that we can work together to fill those gaps. So that's going to be coming up on May 24th. More information to follow. So don't forget, we've got support groups Tuesday night. We've got support groups for Spanish speaking families. Wednesday night, our dad's group. Thursday night, our mom's group. And Friday night, YP with Krista. So thank you for making Family Partners a part of your day, and everybody stay healthy. Jessica, thank you for the fabulous presentation. You really did a great job.
Thank you. And if anybody has any questions, please email me.
Fantastic. And Jessica, we'll be sure to include your email in the follow-up information that goes out as well. Everybody, thank you for joining us, and stay healthy. Take care.
Thank you very much for all your time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody.